Hey everyone, I am Ed Gutowski. I'm your English 1B online instructor, and I wanted to kind of just create a welcome video to introduce you to class. And that way, by making the welcome videos, you kind of get to see who your instructor is. Hopefully, it make things a little more personable. One of the things you should know with our online class, we are in for a treat. This is going to be a super fun class. I'm really excited about the books that we're going to be reading. Let me tell you a little bit about an introduction to literature class. So obviously this is an intro to literature. So we're going to look at short stories, some poetry, some fiction, and some drama. It's always loads of fun. And in particular, I'm really excited because we're looking at a very new and contemporary author. And she sort of just started to really establish herself in the canon of literature. And her name's Anita Shreve, and we're basically going to use our class to determine whether or not she is worthy of being considered one of the great writers of literature. If we want to think of, sometimes we might think of the great writers of literature as, Hemingway or F. Scott Fitzgerald. I'm pretty excited about the books we're going to use. So let me talk about the books we're going to use. So this is the first book. This is the introduction to literature book that we're going to use. My version here, it's blue. I couldn't find the other editions because my wife has decided to remodel our house, and the other editions I think are in storage. But it's Backpacker's Guide to Literature. You can find the textbooks in the announcement section on Canvas, and you can I've written down the 4th edition or the 5th edition. Which might be a little bit cheaper, but that's going to have all the short stories. It's going to have the poems that we're going to use, and then it's also going to have, we originally were going to read Shakespeare's Henry V, but I decided not to use Shakespeare for our class. But so there are 2 plays in our textbook that we're going to use instead. So you want to make sure you get the Backpacker's Guide to Literature. The second book we're going to look at is Anita Shreve, and it's called Light and Snow. And I've used this book several times in my online class, and students really liked it because what Shreve does is she's, a contemporary writer, and what she likes to do is to set up a mystery, and the mystery sort of captivates the readers, and they kind of get engaged. She creates strong characters. But one of the weaknesses that I think students have found is they so are engaged in the story, and they so like the characters, and sometimes her endings can be a little bit of a letdown. So I'll be curious to see what you guys think of Light and Snow, and I'll give you some background. So Light and Snow starts off, Shreve is a New England writer, and she's been compared to Robert Frost, right? So we're going to look at some Robert Frost poems as well. But the novel starts off, we're in New England, we're in Connecticut, and it's a snowy night. I mean, it's really just this snowy blizzard. And out of the blizzard walks these 2 people. It's a father and a daughter. And they're walking in the snow, and you're wondering, what are they doing out here? What are they doing walking in the snow? And the sun is just starting to set. And what's happened is the father and the daughter, they've walked this path every day, and they walk the path trying to get to this fence. And you're wondering, well, who are these characters? What are they doing out in the snow? Why do they always walk this path? And there's not a lot of communication between them, and they're walking in the snow, and all of a sudden the father says to the daughter, "Did you hear something?" And they hear this loud sound, and you're like, what is this sound, right? And they stop for a second. "Did you hear that sound? And is it a wolf? What is that sound?" But it's a crying sound. And all of a sudden they hear this loud screech, and a car drives away, and they walk over, and they see that someone has abandoned a baby on the side of the road. And all of a sudden from there, the mystery begins. And all of a sudden, right, I find that oftentimes students are kind of hooked by the novel. They want to know who these characters, why are they here? And I found this novel to be really, really powerful because in many ways, what Anita Shreve's doing, she's developing these really mysterious and interesting characters, and she's examining questions of grief and loss and asking us to have empathy for characters who may be struggling with things. It's been I really, really enjoyed this novel. Shreve, and you'll find out a little bit more of Shreve as we go through the class. I think this is her best novel. I've taught in 3 of her novels, and for me, this is probably my favorite of her 3 novels. The second book we're going to look at Maus. And Maus is a graphic novel that deals with the Holocaust, so we'll look at Holocaust literature as well. There are 2 things you might think about. You might think about, here we are, we're going to read a comic book, and that very well could make me a terrible teacher, or it could make me an easy teacher as, hey, we're going to be reading a comic book. But I found that Maus has been very powerful in examining some of the issues of the Holocaust, and it's powerful, and it touched me in different ways from, say, you might think of like Anne Frank or Elie Wiesel's Night as well. So, and then we will look at 2 plays. They're in our Backpackers Literature Guide. And so what I like to remind students is that, okay, so look, we're really an 8-week class, so it's going to go by really, really fast. I tried to make week 1 easy, and then we start getting into the trenches. But in some ways, you have to look at an 8-week class as like you're taking a quarter system in the UC system. So it goes quick, you blink twice and it's going to be over, but our class is going to be a lot of fun. Some of the things for the setup for our class, you should know that we never meet in person. We only meet online. Everything is due at the end of the week. The only thing that is due on Mondays is you need to do a weekly check-in. You check in at the start of the week. And what I want you to do is kind of check in, look at the agenda, and then just make sure that you balance your time so you have enough work to, you complete all, what's expected of you. You can balance your time to complete all the assignments at the end of the week. Students have liked that, having that balance in their time. And so that's just kind of how class is set up. You do need to send me a welcome email by Wednesday. I think if it's Tuesday or Wednesday, we'll have to check the Canvas, but you need to check me in because that's the way that I deal with ads. I don't know if I have any students who want ads, but if students want ads and you don't send me the welcome email, I will end up dropping you. So those are just the things at class. The first week of class, you're going to look at 10 poems that are going to be the foundation for our course. And I'm really excited to see what you guys think of those poems, and our class is going to be a lot of fun. Feel free to email them if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys week 1.